بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وصلى اللهم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek His aid, we seek His assistance. Whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal guides, none can misguide. And whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal misguides, none can guide. I bear witness that none is right to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone without any partner. And I testify that Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is his final prophet and messenger. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us the ability to fulfill another day of obligation to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala by observing fast on this day. And we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making us from amongst those who have been granted the ability to increase upon the nawafil, and that is the night prayer. And Hafidh ibn Rajab Rahimahu said that whosoever gathers between the two jihads in the month of Ramadan, then he will be given a reward without any limit. So what are the two jihads that the fasting person observes? It is the jihad of the nahar and the jihad of the layl. It is the jihad of the day, and that is fasting, and the jihad of the nights, it is standing in the night prayer. And whomsoever gathers between these two forms of jihad, Ibn Rajab said, Rahimahu ta'ala, this person will be given a reward without any limit. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us from amongst him. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wallahi alhamd, we continue reading the poem As-Sayr ilallahi wa Dari al-Akhirah, the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the year after. And in tonight's line, we look at line number 8 of the poem, where the author Rahimahu ta'ala says, فعل الفرائد والنوافل دأبهم مع رؤية التقصير والنقصان. That the habit and the trait of those who journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the year after is they do and they fulfill the obligations. فعل الفرائد وَالنَّوَافِلِ دَأْبُهُمْ. And after this, they increase upon closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the nawafil, through the sunnah acts. And this is their da'ab, this is their habit, and this is their trait. مَعَ رُؤْيَةِ التَّقْصِيرِ وَالنُّقْصَانِ. But whilst they fulfill what they need to fulfill, and they increase upon goodness, they still see themselves as falling short with regards to the haqq of Allah. They still feel that they are deficient with regards to fulfilling the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is servitude to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. So in the month of Ramadan, many people continue the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they might have the question, and we might have this question as well. And the question is, كيف أتقرب إلى الله? How do I as a Muslim come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The author answered this. He said, by way of fulfilling the obligations and increasing upon the legislated sunnah of Allah's Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam. For there is no better way to come closer to Allah than by way of the obligation. If we stand in the night prayer in Ramadan, but we fall short with regards to the wajib prayer, then we are not applying the correct method to come closer to Allah. If we recite the Quran the entire day, but we fall short with regards to obligatory mannerisms of fasting, then we have not applied the correct methodology. Like the person who fasts, but he acts in a vile way, and he speaks in a vile manner, then this person has fell short with regards to the obligation, even if he is reciting the Quran the entire day. So the Prophet ﷺ said in the Hadith al-Qudsi, that Allah Azza wa Jal said, the Prophet said that Allah Azza wa Jal said, Man aada li waliyan faqad adhantuhu bil harb. That whosoever has shown enmity to a wali of mine, then I have announced war with this person. And Allah tabarak wa ta'ala did not make war with any people besides those who engage in riba and those who show enmity to his awliya. And so we first need to explain what is a wali of Allah. Because some people have a perception that a wali is a mystical figure. somebody that wears a certain garb, and they're from amongst those who pull the tasbih, and they can walk on water, and they can take one step, and it'll be in front of the copper of the Prophet ﷺ. So some people have the perception that a wali is a mystical figure. But I give you the bushra, I give you the glad tidings that each and every single one sitting here this evening, and every believer and every Muslim is a wali of Allah. You are a wali of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they translate this as friend of Allah. But what it actually means, an ally of Ar-Rahman. Because the groups are two types. We fall into one of two types. It is either you are ally of Ar-Rahman or you are an ally of a shaitan. And there's no group in between. So what proves that each and every single Muslim is a wali is the verse in Allah Azza wa Jal's book. Because in order to understand who a wali is, you must go back to the Quran, must go back to the Sunnah. So Allah Azza wa Jal says, Ala inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. Alladhina amanu wa kanu yattaqun. Allah Azza wa Jal says, lo and behold, the allies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. There'll be no fear upon them, and nor would they grieve. There'll be no fear upon them with regards to what lies ahead for them. In the grave, the resurrection and the hisab. There's no fear for them. وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Nor do they grieve over what they have left in the past. And then Allah mentions their qualities. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Those who believe and they have taqwa. So whosoever possesses belief, iman, and taqwa, then this person is a wali. However, each and every single person differs with regards to their status in front of Allah. The higher the iman, the closer you are to Allah. The higher the taqwa, the closer you are to Allah. The lower the iman, the more distant you are from Allah. The lower the taqwa, the more distant you are from Allah. But each and every single believer who possesses iman and taqwa is a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet said, Man aada li waliyan faqad adhantu bil harb. Whomsoever has shown enmity to a wali of mine, then I have announced war with this person. And then Allah said, وَمَا تَقَرَّ عَبْدِي إِلَيَّ بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. That my servant does not seek closest to me by anything more beloved to me than those matters which I have made wajib upon him. There's no better way to come closer to Allah than by the fara'id. So if a person prays the night prayer, and then he sleeps just before Fajr, and he oversleeps for Fajr, and the person did not pray the night prayer before, another person does not pray the night prayer before, and he wakes up for Fajr, who is better? The person who fulfilled the wajib. Because this is the first way you become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we pray as Allah commanded us 5 times a day. We give our zakat if we are from amongst those whose wealth reaches the threshold and you must give zakat, you give your zakat. And if Allah Azza wa Jalla blessed you to be from amongst those who, as the hadith says, Man istata'a ilayhi sabila, you are able to undertake the journey of Hajj, you perform Hajj. You fulfill the fara'id. And then the Prophet said that Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَمَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبْ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلْ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. And then my servant has not ceased to draw closest to me by anything better than the nawafil, better than the sunnah aspects of al-Islam. Allah said, حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ, up until I love this person. So the author said, فِعْلُ الْفَرَائِدْ وَالنَّوَافِلِ دَأْبُهُمْ, that they do the obligations and they increase upon the nawafil. And this is their habit and their trait. And in the month of Ramadan, we do that which Allah Azza wa Jalla commanded us to do. And we can see the great effect it has upon our souls and upon drawing us nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Muslim is not doing anything besides what Allah commanded and that which is shown to them in the sunnah of the Prophet. If the person fulfilled the fasting of the day and he prayed his obligatory prayers and he stood in the night prayer, what a great effect this has upon the soul. And each and every single one of us can testify towards this. So in order to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the path is clear. It is the path of Allah and His Messenger. We are not in need of additions in our religion. And things being added to our religion which has not been legislated in the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. The Muslim needs to do what Allah wants and what the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam commanded them with. So despite the fact that they do this, Shaykh Abdurahmaan as-Sa'di said, مَعَ رُؤْيَةِ التَّقْصِيرِ وَالنُّقْصَانِ. Despite the fact they fulfill what they must fulfill, they still look at themselves as if they are falling short. And if they are, deficient. So the believer is never ever amazed by himself. The scholar should never ever be amazed by his knowledge. The hafiz should never ever be amazed by his memorization. The salih person, the abid, the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, should never ever be amazed by the worship which he does. Because whatever they have achieved, it is only by Allah Azza wa Jal's grace and Allah Azza wa Jal's fadl. For this reason, the Prophet also said, and he used to supplicate on many occasions, he would say, Allahumma rahmataka arjuk. Allahumma rahmataka arju. فَلَا تَكِلَّنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. The Prophet used to make a dua and used to say, Oh Allah, it is your mercy that I hope for. فَلَا تَكِلَّنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. So don't leave me and don't entrust me to my own self. Don't make me in control of my own life. طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ, for a blink of an eye. And the scholars say the blink of an eye is the quickest moment that can pass you by. The blink of an eye is perhaps quicker than a second. So the Prophet is also the one whom Allah Azza wa Jal raised to the maqam of Mahmud, the raised platform. And that abd of Allah Azza wa Jal was forgiven all of his previous sins and that which was to come. And he was an abd of Allah. He achieved the status of servitude to Allah. He used to make the dua, Allahumma rahmatak arju. Oh Allah, your mercy I hope for. فَلَا تَكِلَّنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. So don't leave me to myself for the blink of an eye. So we are in need of Allah Azza wa Jal's mercy, and we are in need of Allah Azza wa Jal's tawfiq. For it is not for the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal we will never be able to worship Him. We'll never be able to do a single sajda. We'll never be able to do a single tasbih if it was not for Allah Azza wa Jal's mercy upon us. And so the abd always looks at Allah Azza wa Jal and he knows he has a need for Allah. And he cannot achieve anything in dunya and akhirah except by the will and the tawfiq of Allah. And then he also looks at himself as falling short and not being deserved of what Allah Azza wa Jal has granted him. And if this is the mindset, then he is from amongst those, as the author said, that there are those from amongst who fulfill the wajib and they increase in the nawafil and they look at themselves with deficiency and shortcomings. About this verse, there is an ayah in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wherein Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْتُونَ مَا أُوتُوا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ راجعون. That Allah Azza wa Jal said that there are those people who give what they give, meaning they give it their all, and they give it their best shot. وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ, and their heart is filled up with fear, and they know that to their Rabb they will return. So upon hearing this verse, Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha, she asked a question, O Messenger of Allah, are these the ones who yaznoon, they commit zina? And are they the ones who drink alcohol? And are they the ones who commit theft? And they fear that Allah Azza wa Jalla will punish them? And the Prophet told her, no, O daughter of Siddiq, it is not as you have thought. But rather these are the individuals who strive in the way of Allah. And they give it their all. وَيَخَافُونَ أَلَّا يُتَقَبَّلَ مِنْهُمْ. and they fear that is not accepted from them. And this is the characteristic of those who journey to Allah and the year after. They're between the obligations and the sunnah, and they still look at themselves as falling short. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us from amongst those who fulfill the obligations and those who seek closest to Him only through the sunnah of His Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam, and that we don't fall short with regards to Allah Azza wa Jal's haqq. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Naktafi bihada. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wassalamu alaikum wa